Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I have to get used to moving the mic because the team told me that, Anissa told me that I need to keep the mic from in front of my mouth. So I had it all there positioned today. And yeah, I'm getting together. So listen, as you know, the first Wednesday of every month, we have the opportunity to speak with our Mayor Wu. And so I'm not going to do a bunch of commentary about the wonderful event that happened last night. We are going to check in with our mayor about it in just a second. Oh, she just popped out, so she may have to pop back in. So I'll talk about the event last night for a couple of seconds. Tim Walz, not Waltz. And I'm waiting for somebody to create the Harris Waltz, but it's W-A-L-Z Walls. But first of all, let's back up a little bit. Governor Shapiro, say what you want to about, you know, he studied Obama and things like that and the way he orates and whatnot. Every generation has an orator that people may either mimic themselves as or be inspired by. And so our mayor is back. So I'll give more commentary about that later. But as we do every first Wednesday, we chat with our mayor. There is a lot to discuss today. Mayor, as I always do, as late as 11:30 last night, I'm just getting text with just articles, no context. Can you talk to the mayor or whatever? Just articles. And so there's a lot to discuss today. How are you doing? I usually check in on you extensively, but we're going to save that for the end today because there's just a little bit of extra how you doing that we need to check in about. And so let's get ready to jump right in. Well, first, the general, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good. Sorry, I was for whatever reason my sound wasn't working at all, so I was trying to come in and out, but now I fixed it. And
okay, well, you and I both, because 2 seconds before I went live, the camera popped out, so at any moment it could act up, but hopefully it will not. And so it's good to have you here. And there's a lot to discuss. Shout out to the team because they told me that they're going to give me an extra 5 minutes today. So even though
you always take the extra 5 minutes, nothing give it to you.
So I thought about that because I did think about it this morning last month. But Mayor, these last couple of interviews have been very comprehensive. And again, I think the difference in this space is we get to go a little bit deeper into some of the comprehension or some of the deep explanation behind some of the things that, you know, other media just puts things out. And so, for example, one of the things that I saw and I was kind of surprised by me personally, because we were in the process of trying to book him, was Arthur Jameson, who is the head now, if I got it right, of city planning, which was formerly the BPDA. There again, chatter, text, chat, social media. How's that going?
We just had a meeting with the incredible staff of the new planning department in the city with Arthur and me, and Arthur was saying that all of the accomplishments that he's had under his watch over the last 2 years have been because of that incredible team. And I was saying, I feel the same way, that leadership is about making sure the right people are in the right places and have all of the supports they need. And it's never about just one person. It's about who you have spreading the work and doing it. And so just as Arthur's giving credit to his team for all that they did, for me, Arthur has been that person. And so it's a really hard moment. I know, with these things, you want to kind of be sensitive about how you share the news and when. And so I'm sure, he probably was just maybe slow playing it a little bit with you to make sure that the news could get out before trying to, book and then cancel or whatever it is. And Arthur's still here for a little over a month just to make sure everything goes well. But I couldn't be more grateful for everything that he has done. I mean, he's an amazing leader. He has a vision. He has also not just found a way to make things happen that are hard and everyone thought would be impossible to make happen, like transitioning the entire agency over to
Yeah.
finally being part of the city, or like really thinking about how we tackle our zoning code from the ground up that hasn't been touched for 70 plus years, or how we just engage neighborhoods differently. And not only did he do that work, but he also changed the way that we kind of have people at the table, even within City Hall, right? The spaces of whose voices, what does our workforce look like? How do we think about the collaborations between different departments? And so, I tried everything I could.
I was going to ask, was there an aggressive effort to try to get him to stay? Because so much has been done, and just being on the outside and development is not my area, but there is a sentiment of change and hope, or hope and change around that. And, and I know, being sensitive and letting him release the news, but Mayor, if I can ask kind of, and getting into, our next subject, and we can do.
And I will just say
yes.
on this piece, just, in case everyone hadn't seen Arthur's own letter in his own words,
Yes.
or some of the media coverage, he is stepping down to move back to where his family has been living for these whole and even the time before he was with the city, he was commuting to Washington, D.C., and now he's been commuting to Boston from Detroit, where his family has been. And he had shared that they were planning to move as a family over to Boston for this opportunity and for the family, but because of a family medical issue, they were not able to make that move. And now the kids are in high school and really need him back at home. So he's going back to Detroit to do that. And, I feel like in some ways, this is the hard part of saying we are going to be the most family-friendly city and the most family-friendly administration, is that when our leaders need to put their families first and make decisions for their family, I have so much respect for him that this is the decision that he made, and really thankful to him and his family for sharing him for so long like this, and glad that they will be able to be all together again.
That, definitely, we're going to get a little bit into family dynamics and, being a city employee in on the back end of this. And so in the context, and this is sort of a city teaching moment, Mayor, there was an article too, in reference to what we're going to talk about today, but there was an article that came out about the residency requirements for construction sites. And if I remember right, that oversight is done through city planning. Will that still be city planning's? Will that be under them? And in the context of what the article said, and I was a little surprised by some of the lack of numbers, and they stated straight out that we have not been in compliance for a couple of years. I know, COVID, the economy and workforce pools in a lot of industries are very interesting. And the reason I tied this together is because him being a Black man, we understand development and wealth, all of the efforts that you and Shaguna are doing around closing the wealth gap. That oversight with the maybe a little more eye or intentionality because of his life experience, if I'm right, how can you speak to that article? And then also, if there are any concerns of the change in leadership at the city planning department and that compliance piece, how is that going to work out and get in compliance?
Yeah, so while the office that had overseen this was technically housed off the city books also, along with the BPDA or BRA and EDIC, and has now transitioned to the city, it actually has been in our structure under the Office of Workforce. So this Office of Workforce Development is actually under this workers cabinet that we have set up. Trin Win is the
Okay. Yep.
chief of that, and so they will continue to do their work. And you know, as I understand it, the city has basically never been in compliance with these numbers. They have been goals that have been set, and we are further, we are closer. There's been sort of up and down progress. So around this sort of period in time, the goal of having 51% people of color on every job site in Boston, we've been closer to 40%, which of course is even less than we want to be way above 51% anyway, but that the challenge about how the law was written at the city level is that because there are certain things that when you write at the state level can actually have more teeth to it and more accountability than what we're allowed to write when it's just a city ordinance like this.
Yep.
Sometimes the question of how much can you actually do in different situations that could be legally challenged is a real factor there. And we also see when you do have to go to the state, you can get authority that is maybe a little bit more, but it's complicated in its own different way. So this was a city ordinance that came from the amazing Bruce Bowling and later from the amazing Chuck Turner, and strengthened sort of generation after generation of making sure that it could be modern and there as the push. Ultimately, so much of the city's jobs, official work sites that get funding for city projects, whether it's to redevelop actual community centers or schools or fire stations or whatever it is, they end up being union jobs. So that's a big piece of this, is because we set standards around wages that often make it so that they are unionized workforces that get the jobs.
Yep.
Unions also have to be a major partner in having the diversity within them. And some of them are doing way, way more than they ever have before. Some of them are trying and not yet there. So I think that's a big priority that we're working with the building trades and others, the Greater Boston Labor Council, to say, how do we demonstrate that we have the numbers to be able to fulfill these? I think for me, another bit, we hear all the time from people saying, I drive by these work sites and the license plates on the cars are not even from Massachusetts. How can that be? We just have to make sure, it's set up right now through the office and through the legal language to be something where we are checking on each site, and we have hired more monitors and made sure that we're checking. The ability to actually then have a punishment when they're not there, that can be what is
a little murky.
Yeah, exactly. Legally.
And is that through also, we're going to get into some other pieces of how, home petition, state authority, can contribute to some things. But I thank you for the clarity around the fact that, because how it was interpreted and of course sent to me and whatnot was not that article, the other one. But there was sort of this thing of that it was just within this, this administration or whatever. But thank you for setting the historical context and that there's progress, because I just kind of peeped at some of the numbers at the article and they cited the same thing of the 40%. And so there's still, if you would agree, a canyon of improvement that we can aim towards. All right.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, believe me, we're not sitting back and just saying, it is what it is. There's funding that we've been putting in to make sure that we're actually helping to build the pipelines. We've been partnering on childcare, for example, to meet non-traditional work hours that are closer to what a work site would need versus just 9 to 5. So we're trying to chip away at it from all different angles while still making sure this office is strong and monitoring everything.
Absolutely. And one of the things in sort of, and I excuse the vernacular, but I won't say chipping away, but decreasing, we have very low numbers as it pertains to violence. But as you know, where the violence is still active is in certain areas. We talked about that. But there's still these incidents that are happening that are impacting communities. So sort of a quick check-in. And we do know, unfortunately, summertime, changes things. That along with what we're going to get into in a second. These, this and the next subject, I like when we don't have to talk about them, because it means that it's, there's a lot of progress being made. But we got to cite there is progress being made. We got poetry in the park, activation of the parks, other things going on. where are things, and maybe I should frame this differently, where are things with keeping the peace and promoting peaceful communities? I'm going to change that.
Yeah. We are really thankful to the community for the progress so far. We're actually just wrapped up National Night Out the last 2 nights.
Yes. Yep.
So I'm a little tired because it was 12 different stops across all different neighborhoods, and really an opportunity to give out community service awards for the hidden heroes in each neighborhood who are really focused on peace and community safety. And that's always a fun time. I think, what we've actually gotten a lot of national attention and asks about how does this happen. DA Kevin Hayden was just telling me that actually right now, the National Association of Black Prosecutors is in town for their conference, which Boston is hosting. And so you have these incredible leaders from all around the country. And he was saying that they've just been blown away. Commissioner Cox spoke yesterday, and everyone couldn't believe what he was saying is happening in Boston, because not only are our numbers low, so I will just, for accountability, share the latest numbers as of Monday of this week. We have experienced 8 homicides in the city from January until now. 8 too many. Again, as you say, often doubling down on the trauma in specific communities and areas. But this time last year, there were 27. And the 5-year average from January to early August is 30. So that's just the kind of, again, numbers are numbers. They're not people, it's
say it. That we have to. Yes, ma'am. Yep.
But being able to track things and to know that when we do things differently, like having weekly meetings no matter what the numbers are, we have these weekly sessions that bring together all the agencies that at all are focused on peace, including, more importantly, the community outreach and street workers and folks who are on the ground with relationships. We have incident meetings after every major incident. We have monthly higher level sort of big picture strategy focused meetings. And then we've done little things, these are not little, they take a lot of work from all the members of our team. But for example, thinking about young people, and this is not even in the sort of category of violence, but just in the category of being in the news and the perception of peace and safety, there was a lot of noise about young people at South Bay or Downtown Crossing in the last couple of years. And when we actually asked the young people, they said there's nothing to do between the weeks when school ends and when our internships or the youth summer jobs program starts, and then nothing also on the back end when those programs end and then when school starts back up again. So Chief Masso, Jose Masso's team, for example, has been laser focused on that week was programs, right? Start to finish, everywhere there was something to do. BCYF has been offering after dark events to really have later night activities. We have had more events in our parks free for everyone than ever before. So more open streets events, including Hyde Park this Sunday. So the idea is that, of course, we target violence with prevention, intervention, leaning on those who know best in the community. And we also worked just to foster the environment for community building by giving out block party grants, by supporting neighborhood organizations, by making sure our public spaces are clean and beautiful and always active with something to do.
Mayor, may I ask one follow-up question? What role does, because some of our, not even young people, the age of those participating and also who have fell victim to issues of violence, fatal or non-fatal, has went up a little bit. And so there's a population on the prevention side that's not going to go into BCYF, that's not going to come. They may come to the block party. What role is reentry and maybe Frank Shop, Director Farrell, playing in targeting that 1% that gets the attention, as you mentioned? What role are they playing more on the intervention and what I think David Wright used to call post-vention period? All the interventions have been done, but still, we haven't been able to offer them more opportunities. What role is reentry and maybe BMA playing specifically in that role with Dr. Yabla?
Yeah, I think, our theory of change, whether it is about safety in general, or mass and CAS, or students, whatever it is, it really has to be person by person, right? You can build a program, but unless you can customize it for what each individual resident needs, you're not actually going to have the long lasting impact. And so I think the goal is that we've actually built out. It's so right now, for example, with ORC, it's not just their responsibility to say, okay, someone needs something, go figure it out.
Yep.
Our housing authority, BHA, our housing cabinet under Sheila Dillon, our partnerships at the state, everyone is primed to say, how do we make room when we need to? How do we know how to mobilize quickly when there's something that comes in as a need that would then have an additional safety impact for this individual and for our larger community? And so we've built a lot of those muscles. There have been dedicated housing specialists in different places, dedicated job search, and there's been some movement at the state level in terms of policies that would help as well. More and more advocacy for the whether it's free calls or the ability to get a license right away, get your ID back. All those things kind of add up to keeping people connected, even when they are behind the wall, are still members of our community and will be coming home. And so then when they do come home, we're able to mobilize right away with kind of a wraparound approach.
Absolutely. And Mayor, thank you for that, because it and we've always known this, the prevention is there. There have been conversations and debate about, should there be more money in prevention? Should there be more money in intervention and postvention? And so I wanted to ask that clarity for that population that won't go, that won't take advantage of what Jose's Chief Marshal Shop is offering. You alluded to, and this is something you've always talked about, and Mayor, I've traveled a little bit and have been in the Mass and Cass area more. And while Atkinson is still remarkable in visibility and not being as densely populated, the issue with decentralizing it is that people then uncentralize, and some of the spillover in that area in certain hiding places. How are you applying sort of, and I believe and agree with that individual approach, how are you applying not you, but how is the shop over at the Health Commission and others in partnerships applying that individual approach now that folks are spread out? And even in that, I was thinking about this question this morning. We often have the debate of treating the illness and the sickness, and also accountability when it comes to when there is criminal activity. So a 3-tiered prong question there. You're used to this, Mayor. How, with the spread out, the individual approach that has been successful, and then when does it get to a point? Because Mayor, I had a thought one day. I said, how come BPD isn't telling them that they have to, move? And then the question comes, okay, so where they move to, where are they going? And it's a lot. So answer, please.
Yeah. I'll give it a try. So again, just to start with the numbers, recognizing that it's not about just what numbers on a paper say, but if you compare we have daily crowd counts just to know how many people are on the street, and then who and what their specific needs are. And so if you just look at the numbers of how many people a year ago in the summer, it was lots and lots of tents, and anywhere between 150, 200 plus people gathered on Atkinson Street. This summer, it has been no tents, because that effort has been working very smoothly in terms of connecting people to shelter and treatment instead, and saying we have a rule that it's just not safe for those tents to be hiding what might be happening inside, or weapons or things like that. And the counts have been anywhere on a given day from 30 to 90 some people. So, we see some progress on paper, but again, the community feeling and the need from folks is also what's more important. And when you actually talk to the staff who are on the ground, who know people who are there every day and have personal relationships and have really built up the trust and knowledge, last year and all the years before, it was many people who did not have housing and did not have anywhere to go living in those tents and structures. And this year, the vast majority of people who are on the street do have housing, some through the housing programs that they have gotten through the city. And so it has been much more about day space for gathering and socializing. It has been about the need to obtain substances
Yep.
for substance use as this medical condition. And so our goal has become, rather than focused on how do we just keep people safe and alive last year when you really couldn't understand what was happening in the tents and it was so many people all the time. Now the goal has been, how do we make sure that there is just not crowd substance use altogether, because that is unsafe in a different way, and we don't want to encourage we don't want to foster the ability for those who are participating in illegal drug trafficking and all of that
Yep.
to just be part of this. So they have been, BPD and the Public Health Commission and our partners have been working to, again, one by one outreach when people have housing, to figure out if they can be connected. We're trying to think about outdoor spaces that are connected to that housing, because in the limited places where there has been a protected area off the street, just for those residents that is outside of their living and sleeping places, we have not seen those residents out in the street
In the massive gas
using.
area. Yeah. It's a lot. And we did have a period where it wasn't one of the subjects that I get tapped about to speak with you about. But then I've also, sort of been seeing it myself. A friend of mine was here from Florida. I pull up in the gas station. I'm like, hey, what's up? Ambulance is coming. I'm like, everything good? He ran into one of his old friends that he called the ambulance for to get him, treatment. And so it is definitely the fact that it's not centralized, I think, makes the appearance, as you say. And just like homicide, one person that's dealing with this, that's out on the street. And, last question around this, because they're going to kill me because I got like 4 minutes. On the criminal end, is there a way that BPD can figure out, I don't know, some level of undercover and be a little more intentional about the dealers? Because I've rode past, and you can surmise a little bit of a difference of someone dealing and then someone dealing. You know what I mean? Is there any thought or intentionality around that piece?
Yeah, the drug unit has been involved, and there has been an increase in the number of arrests for drug trafficking and all that. They are very much focused on, it's a little bit of a tricky balance in terms of exactly following the law and what is actually going to make a difference for that person's life. And
a dealer may
happens.
Be addicted too.
Exactly. Especially some of the lower level folks. But we have been partnering really closely with DA Hayden's office as well, because when we make an arrest, it goes, at that point, it's a little bit out of our hands and it goes to the district attorney's office. And they have been really focused on putting resources to this sentences or services over sentencing program, where they divert people to treatment and resources rather than directly into incarceration.
Got you. Mayor, this article was the one that I got last night. No context, just a forward of an article. And I saw a tweet with the statement, and, I'm going to stay away from the petty stuff, but okay. So you are trying, if I understand right, to have, and you talked a little bit about finances last month, so much so that I asked you, and not reading it, I was like, Mayor, financial forecast, what's going on? I'm like, and that wasn't being aware of anything. And then after I saw the articles and commercial and developers and stuff like that. So you put out a home rule petition to basically get more taxes from commercial developers or property owners. And clarify what happened at the state level. And then Leader Spolka, made a statement.
Yeah. So I think what people need to know. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna, maybe I can send to you, or you can put it in
either
somewhere.
Text it, or
I wrote a whole Substack blog post on this issue in case anyone wants to read how our budget from the city is made and why we need this tax thing, and what people have been saying that actually is confusing and even wrong about the tax thing, it's at wootrain.substack.com. You can click on the very first post and it has this like chart of the budget, and it's that one. So the short version is we don't get to choose a whole lot about how we charge people's taxes at the city level. We rely on that to fund salaries for teachers, police, filling our potholes. Everything we do at the city level comes from some kind of revenues, whether it's property taxes, parking meters, hotel taxes from people who are visiting Boston, now cannabis taxes, all that. Two things you have to know. One is that most of our taxes come from property taxes, but there's a really tight restriction called Prop 2.5, where that can only go up 2.5% a year, which is way lower than inflation and anyone's household costs have been going up, also lower than what we need for salaries and all the healthcare costs for employees to go up. The second is that by law, we have to have a balanced budget. We can only spend what we have coming in. So some people are saying, oh, are you doing this so that you've been way overspending and you need to somehow find more money? This is not it at all. Because of the way Prop 2.5 works, when commercial properties and residential properties both go up in value, the taxes stay balanced. When they both go down in value because the economy, the taxes stay balanced. But when one goes up and one goes down, then things get all out of whack. And now's one of those moments where downtown offices might be going down because of there more vacancies, people working from home and this and that, while residential property values are still very strong and going up. And so because of this split, the same thing happened in 2004 under Mayor Menino. And we had to go and ask for a slight tweak in state law to allow us to maintain the balance that we have. Of our taxes, 40% comes in from residents, 60% comes in from businesses. If we were to not do this tweak, then residents would end up having to pay a whole lot more because, again, they're going up and down in different ways. And so we just want to preserve everything as it is now, the right balance. And it doesn't mean that the businesses are going to pay more taxes. We want to avoid what would be a huge spike. We are projecting potentially a 33% increase in residents' property taxes if this doesn't go through. But if we are able to avoid that, it doesn't mean that the businesses go up 33%. It means that they go down.
Yeah, but you're trying to still balance out. You're trying to control the balance locally.
Exactly.
Versus what the national.
Some people who are paid to lobby on behalf of businesses, and that's their job. They feed their families by focusing only on businesses, not our residents. My job is to focus on everyone. So they want to have the massive tax break that would go to businesses if their values go down. And again, they're still going to pay less under our proposal, but it'll just make it so that we stay balanced and residents don't pay a lot more. There's been a lot of misinformation about this, and we can't do this on our own. We need the state legislature to sign off. The city council passed this, the House of Representatives passed this, and then in the late night session, along with a lot of really important things, it didn't make it over the last step, which would have been the Senate. And so I'm not one to try to use public quotes or statements to start fights with anyone. That's not my style. I'm not trying to, I really just want to get things done. I'm not asking the state house to sort of lean in and do anything extraordinary. We have something that we need in our city. This is the process that we have step by step to go through with them. I think it seems like they interpreted it as I was trying to blame them or something. And I was just,
it's just nature of the fact
that was asked of me that this is going to touch every single resident in the city of Boston, and it's really important for our city. And so I very much hope that in this period of time we have left before those tax bills go out, we have to basically print them in December. We have to finalize them sometime around October-ish. So we have a window, and we are ready to keep still working. We will answer anyone's questions. I will call every single state senator. We're ready. And, they have a lot on their plate. I have so much respect for every person's role in this. And so it's not meant as disrespect or questioning anyone's authority. This is a process that we have at the city level to protect our residents. And that's always going to be my top priority.
Mayor, the team and Phil just jumped on and watching. So I think she's here to tell me that it's time for you to go. I can't let you go. Michael, get me later. If you skip a month this year, I'll understand. You made an announcement. The wolf trade is expanding. Somehow tie in expected mother, mayor, and we'll save national politics for next month.
Okay. Well, that's fine. So
Congratulations.
listen, I have to wear patterns now to make me look a little less big. It doesn't make me feel less big, but
Mayor, 30 seconds. How do you feel? You know, we'll skip the other stuff. How do
yeah.
you feel? And you know, getting ready to run for an election and being a mom. And I heard chatter about you said he wasn't going to take the full maternity leave. And I'll text you about that. Mayor, how you doing? And then we 30 seconds, and then
30
I'm
seconds.
going to get beat up.
Physically, I feel great. The second trimester, for any of the ladies out there who've had children before, second trimester is way better than first trimester. You know, emotionally, it's still like every single day I'm praying, and every single day I'm grateful and relieved because I also shared we had gone
Yes.
through, we've been trying to grow our family basically since my second child, Cass, was born, and he's 7 years old now. And so it's been a number of years of a lot of, we've had 2 different pregnancy losses. And so a lot of heartache that's come along the way, which now that I've experienced that, it's always a little bit in the back of your head of,
Yes.
hoping this one
Yep.
is going well. And all the doctor's appointments and everything's have shown it's been very healthy so far. So we're going to continue to pray and ask for everyone's prayers on
The
this
mother's
front.
board will definitely add you.
Yeah, but it's exciting. I'm due in January, and
Okay.
we're told it will be a baby girl. So
You
that'll
got
be
your girl coming?
something really new for our family.
Oh, are you going to call her Mimi? All right, Mayor, I got to let you go before I get in trouble. Congratulations. Thank you for all that we got today. And I'll see you in community very soon. Sorry
right.
to rush you off.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, folks. First of all, apologies to the mayor's staff. I said something earlier about they were like, okay, we're going to give you till 9:35. And you see, well, they said it, and then the mayor herself, she was like, you went over late last month as well. And so, but it's so important to get this information, and I try to squeeze in what I'm observing. I got texts this morning in the middle of the show. And so balancing all of that with my own awareness of what's going on with the inboxes, what's in media, conversations I have in community with people. And so I want us not to take it lightly that our mayor does come in and have these type of different comprehensive, educational, informative conversations. If you watched her when she got into her poly data bag about the taxes, you see, she threw, whenever the mayor throws her hair to the side and it's all over right here, she's going in. And what I ascertained from what she was saying of what's going on with first, and I didn't get a chance to ask her right now, because of the Brahmins who were descendants of the Mayflower, when the Irish were obtaining elected positions and positions of power, the city at that time turned over a lot of the power and decision-making for this city to the State House. It's the capital, down the street, City Hall, State House, Government Center. And so that's why we have this sort of homeroom petition, and there's certain things that the mayor and the council have to go to the state for. That's why a lot of the insurance plans and retirement plans in the city of Boston and the state look very similar. I also believe that if you work at the city and then go to the state, there's some sort of with the benefits. So there's a close tie. And I didn't get a chance to ask her about, do we need to look at approaching the city charter and getting some power back to the city of Boston? From what I ascertained, she's trying to win, I would presume, the feds, Department of Revenue, State Department, I'm not sure, do these changes with property taxes, residential taxes, when it's even, cool. And if you remember last month, the mayor, she was talking, and I'm listening to her, and I'm like, hold on. You sound like we about to go into a recession. And so we got the clarity around this taxes thing that she's basically not trying to make. There's a potential that taxes may go up 33% for residents. and maybe not that much for commercial. What she's trying to do is absorb some of that, put a little bit more on a commercial, and balance it out still. And so I haven't talked to anybody from the IRS or the Department of Revenue to hear the other side, but from what I ascertained here. So maybe you might want to call your state representative or your state senator. I believe it passed the House. You want to call your state senator and say, hey, what are you doing in reference to the home petition from the city of Boston around balancing between residential and commercial taxes? Plain and simple. Anissa said yes, because I'm trying to win one of those housing lotteries. Listen, we got a whole lot of stuff that we got accomplished and heard from the mayor today. Wasn't able to get all of the questions that I got in taxes and stuff. I mean, I just got another text, and if you're watching, you know why I'm laughing when you text me. But again, we appreciate everybody that came in today. Shout out to everybody on Twitter. Special thanks to the Real Boston Media that simply retweets us and brings his audience in to see and have this information. I know there's a lot of attention to national politics, but all politics are local. And whether you believe it or not, if you flush the toilet, you're political. If you have a child that goes to Boston Public Schools, you're political. If you press the stoplight or stop at a stop sign in the city of Boston on a Boston street, you're political. And so I'm glad to have those folks from Twitter, also those over on Instagram as well. Dieli, so glad that you joined. Shout out to the Freedom House that just joined over on Instagram as well. I believe I'm with them next week for their career professional series. I think I've been doing for about 6 years or so. And so shout out to the Freedom House, Boston, LGBTQ, Julianne and them are over on, the Hi Chic over on Instagram. Send the email send the email. And just because if you leave it to me in text and DMs, it's not going to happen. That's it for me. We're back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And tomorrow morning, we are speaking with Arthur Queen, Words That Transform, an interview with Latifah Bryan. And she's going to speak with us about her work and her authorship and things that she's doing. And so we'll have her here. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you all, next Thursday night at 6 p.m., we will be at Southline. So technically, it's Java with Jimmy Studios at Southline, sponsored by Portal. It's a lot to say. We will be over at Portal, over at 135 Morrissey Boulevard for the second installment of Black Java, no sugar, no cream. And so I would like to invite you to come out next Thursday night at 6 p.m. We're going to be ready for you at 5:30 because I know some people may come directly after work. And so there's going to be a social hour. And when I tell you, I am excited to bring into the cafe Mr. Mike Dees, who is a very popular influencer, asks a lot of questions and gets a lot of things done. Namely, one thing he's most known for is getting some activity and clarity around what's going on with the River Street Bridge in his interaction with City Council District 5, City Councilor Enrique Pepin. Also, Ms. I didn't put it in there, but Ms. Mo Filler will be with us as well. She is the host of Inside the Maze. She's a personality. She's a singer. I've known her since she was a little girl, and she is another influencer and commentator here in the city of Boston. Taylor Andre used to be on radio, and also we used to be on the same station back in the day. And she's coming in. She's a real estate maven and very opinionated in politics. And certainly last but not least, the author, the myth, the legend, the fashion designer, himself, Dart Adams is coming in to be a part of the conversation. Listen, let me tell you what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk with Mike and Dart about their collaboration. And it's a shame I don't have the Hugo Gospel. What's up, brother? Good to see you in the room. I can't see the picture to make sure to know who it is, but welcome to the Java Cafe over on Instagram. We're going to talk about their collaboration. I believe it's good in every hood. That collaboration, it's going around with the Celtic green shorts. with every hood represented, and then adding neighborhoods as the days go by. So they're going to be with us. We're going to talk about their collaboration. We're going to talk about Mike's brand. We're going to talk to Dart about his perspective of national politics, what the Democratic Party needs to do to center and be more engaging with Black men. And then in the second segment, we're going to talk with Mo and also Taylor about their influence in the media spaces here in the city of Boston. We're going to talk about Black media, and we're going to talk about their perspective of leadership by women, specifically Black women. We're going to talk about Taylor's going to give some perspective what the mayor just talked about, being a mom and a mayor in leadership, those expectations, rigor, and things like that. And Mo's going to talk with us about Black media and just her perspective about what's going on in the city of Boston around culture. Fashion's going to be a part of it. And to let you know, there is going to be a cash bar. We're going to have music and come and have some networking. We're figuring out the food thing as we speak. So that's what's going on next Thursday. Il Neil is in the building over on Instagram. Don't forget on Sunday, September 8th, the event that they're having in the park. I don't have the flyer in front of me. But I was glad to have Neil with us next week. We're going to connect this week. If you're interested in sponsoring either Black Java or the event that Neil is doing, reach out to us at info@javawithjimmy.com. We'll direct you over to Neil. If you want to support Black Java, we'll get you the information to do that. Again, thank you, everyone. Again, those on Instagram, those on Twitter, folks, if you can, you just click in the video live and you're part of the live chat, and I can interact and chat with you guys, and you guys can say what's up over here on the StreamYard platform. Tashad, good to see you in the building. Anissa, thank you for all that you do to help make the fire happen. And Pastor Marion, I agree. Congratulations to Vice President Harris and her VP running mate, Tim Walls. I got a meeting. Shapiro bought the fire last night. Tim Walls bought the fire last night. Uh-oh. I just got a text from the mayor's staff. All right, I'm not in trouble. Gotta love him. Sister Shirley Snyder, I haven't seen you and hugged you in years. Wow. It's good to see you in the Java Cafe. All right, folks, I'm getting ready to run my mouth. I'm getting off of here. Don't forget to come out. Join us next Thursday for the Black Java. No sugar, no cream. Shows are getting canceled, revamped, and all that other stuff. From the beginning of this platform, we were very intentional about making sure that the Black community had the information and awareness around COVID. And we continue like we did today to bring the mayor in. And so this ain't really nothing new. And we've always been focused on the Black community. So please plan to come out and be a part of that. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm tired. I got to get ready for a meeting. And Sandra, good to see you in the Lacey. What's up, Lacey, over on Instagram? Sandra, good to see you in the room. Sandra, please plan to join us next Thursday night. This is not a fill-in. It's a new of where Basic Black left off. We're making sure and going to continue to make sure that Black voices are a part of the cadence and sound here in Boston and in the region. So Sandra, Enrique, I just shouted you out that your brother Obi's coming. Oh, y'all just over on Instagram pop. See, this is what makes me stay on longer. Counselor Enrique, I just literally talked about you, about your support for Mike Dees and what he did over at the River Street Bridge. And so Mike will be with us again on Thursday night at 6:00. Counselor Pepin, if you're available, come over and check us out over at Southline. Again, I also saw Counselor, I'm serious, man. We literally just I shouted him out and he just popped on Instagram watching. And so Miss Teresa, you hush. Lacey, my mother said that you're family now. And Enrique is claiming Mike like nothing. He said that Mike D's is a High Park gem. So shout out to Mike D's. This is doing great things out there. Sandra, I hope to be there, but may have family funeral. Please keep Sandra Lopez Burke in your prayers. She had a loss of a loved one. Open Streets is on Sunday, as the mayor mentioned, in High Park on Sunday. So please plan to be a part of that. And I see someone, the homeless situation. We actually had a guest talk with us about that last week. WAJV. And so please go look at, I believe it was last Tuesday's episode. Brother, Lord Jesus, Kyrie came in, and talked with us about that. So there's an episode about that. And Lacey said, Ma, what a compliment. I will be riding on that all day. All right, folks, I'm getting off of here. You all have a wonderful day. Don't forget to come back with us tomorrow for Arthur Queen. Don't forget to plan to come next Thursday night and be with us at Southline 135 Morrissey Boulevard, over in the Dorchester area for Black Java. No sugar, no cream. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Have a great day, y'all, and we'll talk to you soon.